Today I wanted to take a look at the biggest and most hyped up feature shown in the new Tomodachi Life Direct, and I'm gonna be doing a little bit of an analysis of all the information that we already have about this new feature. So let's get right into it. Here's everything we know about the new quick build feature in Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. We know that Mies can recommend changes to the island, but we don't know exactly how these changes are decided. Does it happen completely at random? Is this how we learn the feature gets unlocked? Is it based on the amount of items you currently have? Or will the Mies give you extra items to build with? All of these questions currently remain unanswered, but we do know that Mies can in fact have a say in what the island will look like, which may imply that these interactive items actively improve the mood of our Mies. In the quick build shop menu, we get a bunch of new information. First of all, the price of the items in the quick build store is surprisingly cheap. We see that our player currently has $1,308 and that the items lay between 10 to 50 bucks. Fences being even cheaper, around 3 to 5 bucks. And generally, everything in this store is surprisingly cheap. This is incredible news to those who want to customize their island to the fullest, but don't want to wait a million years every time before being able to buy a new item. We also see one of my personal favorites from the past game, the horribly corny descriptions, make a return for the quick build feature as well. They deliberately skip over the last two tabs in the quick build. One shows a building, which is probably the building feature showing up later in the direct, and the other one is the painting feature that together with the buildings also shows up later into the direct. I would love to do a separate video on everything we know about the new painting feature, so comment if that's something you're interested in. One more important thing to note before we move to the next feature, we see multiple colorations of the same item in different slots in our store. This heavily implies that either we can get no coloring options for the other items, or color options do exist and can easily be swapped, but they are separately bought. Either way, the painting option kind of dethrones both of these theories, since we'll be able to make most items whatever color we want anyway. Before we continue, I don't want to be that guy, but according to my analytics, most people who watch these videos aren't subscribed, and I'm trying to reach 1K followers before the game launches and would love for you to be a part of it. I'm planning to make many more Tomodachi videos, and I think if you enjoyed this one, you're going to enjoy the other ones. So make sure to check if you're subscribed, and let's get right back to it. This is the screen where we get to see most of this feature in action. First important thing we get to see is the basic movement on the building screen. We got a rotate button, something that I assume is a copying button, an undo, and a place button. We also see that there's a limited supply for each item, which we've already seen is because we can purchase the items before we place them. There's also an option to presumably toggle and untoggle the grid, as well as changing the camera angle. Important to notice that this basic decoration placement feature and the feature to move around any big buildings seem to have a completely different layout. And though we get mostly the same options for buildings, there are some important differences to note. One thing we get to see is who lives in which building. We also get an option to reset everything, but we don't know if this implies going back to the original custom layout before the specific movement, or if it means going back to the complete base layout that the game gives us. We also get an option to either move singular items, or there is a batch mode, which is probably used to select and move around multiple buildings at once. One more feature related to the quick build is the land building feature. Here we see that we have a brush to customize what our island will look like. We have a settings option where we can presumably customize the brushes, and we also have an option to switch from a pen tool to a bucket tool, though we aren't given any examples of what this bucket tool exactly does. And then we also have what I assume to be another copy button. We also see that the ground type that is currently used to build is called grass. And later on, we see that there's a bunch of different options for our island's ground. Not only different types of roads and paths, but also different colored grass and ground types. Which does raise the question if there's going to be seasons with matching ground colors, like maybe a toggleable option for the ground to automatically change with the seasons, or if that's something that we're always going to have to change manually. In the entire build sequence, we see that there's these buoys, these red things that are always 2 tiles away from the building border. We know very little about how extending the island and the border works, but we do see some very big islands as well as some islands that don't even have Mii housings or bridges, which raises a lot of questions about how big the customization will be and what exactly the limits are of the border and of this feature in general. Lastly, with this scene, we see that there's generally a lot of building colors and item colors. With the amount of lighthouses shown in this scene, we know that this is most definitely not an official build building like the Ferris wheel. However, in this shot, we do see that we can actually copy and paste actual stores and buildings as well, which honestly just raises the question again of how big exactly our islands can be. That was everything we know about the quick build feature so far. If I've missed anything, make sure to tell me in the comments. And I would also love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this quick build feature in general. Which parts do you like? Which parts are you worried about? And what is your general opinion on this feature? Feel free to put all your opinions about this quick build feature in the comments below, as well as which feature you'd like me to do a deep dive on next, and I'll be seeing you there.